Sask Energy and partially funded by NRCan. So the first two streams are funded by Natural Resources Canada, and then the third stream, the custom incentives, is SaskPower and Sask Energy. So it's $1 per kilowatt hour of savings, up to 50% of your project cost, up to 100,000, and that's per fuel type. So SaskPower will kick in up to 100,000, and Sask Energy will also kick in up to 100,000, depending on what your projects are and where the savings are coming from. One thing I'll say about the custom services is do not purchase anything before you get pre-approval for the project. The program is meant to influence those purchase decisions, and so if you've gone ahead and done it anyways, then you don't need the incentive. And so that's kind of the premise. So make sure that you at least engage with the program if you want to claim incentives on that material before you purchase anything. The other important point with the custom incentives is you don't need to go through the ESS or the ECS streams in order to do that. Like if you have a project that's ready to go, like we've been seeing lighting projects so far, some compressed air, some motors, you can go straight to that capital incentive as long as you have all of the documentation and whatever we need to kind of go through that pre-approval stage. As long as you have the information, you can go straight to that stream as well. So it's very flexible between the streams. You can be going through the Energy Support Service or ESS or the coach service, and also be taking advantage of the custom incentives at the same time. I do have kind of a slide per each of the three streams that I was going to talk more in detail about. So basically, if you want to participate, you email the email, and the Clear Result representative will get a hold of you and make a time to meet and kind of have that kickoff meeting, and then take you through the steps that you need. That meeting would also kind of include an assessment of like, where are you at? What do you need? Where do you fit within this program? Like which stream and what are you doing? So you don't need to know what you're doing in order to call and start participating. They'll walk you right through everything that you need to know and to participate. And they'll also kind of listen to like, where do you want to go? Do you want full on energy management with all the bells and whistles, or do you just want something where you can just simply see your consumption and that's it? So that you're really driving the bus on that while you're taking advantage of the program. So with the Energy Support Services, when you sign up for this one, you have to submit a letter of intent to SaskPower to become a participant. And basically what that is this is just a letter saying, yes, we're going to participate in this CEOP program. We're willing to share information, and we realize that there will be some data sharing as we go forward with Clear Result. So you submit that letter of intent. It doesn't legally bind you or commit you to anything. And then, yeah, you get hooked up with your Clear Result energy representative, and away you go. Some of the other things that are also available on this stream is some training and workshops. So again, like one of the objectives of the program is to build that capacity within businesses so that those skill sets remain in the facility and that those activities can be continued. So there will be training available. There's also some like energy tracking and that sort of thing. Again, you're driving the bus, you can tell Clear Result what you want, and they'll deliver for you. So then our coach services, with this one, when you sign up, you have to sign an actual incentive agreement. So it has terms and conditions and all the stuff. I'll actually just go to the next slide so you can kind of see what it looks like. So this chart would be right in your incentive agreement, and that 30,000 is paid out based on these milestones. I'll actually come back to that slide in a second. So with this one, it's the same thing. You email Clear Result, they'll set up the kickoff meeting, do the assessment. Where are you at? What do you need? Where do you fit within this program? If the Energy Coach Services is where you want to be, what will happen is you put up a person at your company, and we call that the energy champion. And then that energy champion is hooked up with an energy coach from ClearResult. So that coach would be like an energy professional that's an expert in their area. They'll come in and help you do your audit, do all this stuff. But the point with this stream is to really, again, that skill development, like trying to help you develop the skills internally to your company so that you can continue all of these activities. And again, like the benefit there is the operational savings, the services that you get from the ClearResult rep, in addition to the 30,000 and the custom incentives. So it really is a big win if you take advantage of everything. The coach service really has everything the same as the first one, the support service. So again, audit, they'll help you do a business case, they'll help you do an energy management plan, the walkthroughs and all that stuff. The other element of this is they will help you find funding. So whether that's an EPC contract or, there's different funding streams, or there's incentives from both provincial and federal governments, all the stuff and noise that's out there for all of these incentives and funding, they'll help you sift through all that and find a funding partner that kind of meets where you're at or what you need. And of course, again, like webinars and the workshops, if you see on the milestone chart, which is at milestone 6, participate in all organized group workshops. So I think there's 3 different workshops. We have one coming up at the end of February. It's a RET screen energy modeling. So really technical. The participants are getting a 12-month license for RET screen for free through the program. And then they'll actually get the training that goes along with that software so that they can model the energy, see where you're at, see how your consumption is fluctuating, see your demand, all the stuff that you need to manage that energy. It does look a little bit daunting when you sign up for the coach service, but again, that coach is kind of there for you one-on-one to take you through all these activities. And then once you meet an activity, we'll pay out that milestone. The way we've been doing it is paying it out quarterly. But again, we're flexible on that as well. The other thing I'll say about the coach service is you sign up for this 12-month process of coaching. If you're delayed, like we obviously don't want to see delays in that 12 months, but it's not like we're going to just pull the rug under you if you're delayed a month or two. And the other thing too is that if you complete the 12 months, the program itself is available until March 2027. So as long as you fit within that date, you can sign up for an additional 12 months, get an additional 30,000 and an additional 12 months of that coaching support. So again, just trying to be really flexible, meet you where you're at kind of thing. And then the custom incentives, again, you don't have to participate in the other 2 to take advantage of this one. You can go straight to this one. And the ClearResult coaches are there to help you, with applications, doing the savings calculations, all the stuff. So for the electrical savings projects, SaskPower gives 6 cents a kilowatt hour for lighting projects, 13 cents a kilowatt hour for non-lighting projects. And those are based on actual savings. We don't have a requirement for measurement and verification. So a lot of the savings calculations will be desktop analysis unless you're claiming more than 75,000 in incentives. So if SaskPower is giving you more than 75,000, then we require actual measurement. Anything under that, we don't. But again, ClearResult would be there to help you with those calculations as well. There has to be a minimum incentive of 1,500, and the reason for that is just, there is administration costs, and it doesn't really make it worth it unless it's that amount or higher. And then up to 50% of the eligible project costs, up to 100,000 per fuel type. So again, Sask Energy is kicking in $15 a gigajoule per savings or for savings. And that is basically the program. So we have you know, the CEOP and these 3 different pillars underneath that you're welcome to take advantage of. So if you go to SaskPower.com, at the top there's power savings and programs, and if you hit that, there should be a link there for commercial energy optimization program. You click on that and it'll take you to the home page where there is some resources there. So there's the program guide that has all the rules, the intake form. There's a custom incentive workbook on there. So that workbook was created by ClearResult, and it's basically like you can go in there and plug in different fields before and after your retrofits, and you can kind of guess at what the financial incentive will be. It's not a guarantee, but it gives you a good idea of what you can get before you even enter the program. There's a frequently asked questions, and then we also have under that power savings and programs, there's also a commercial energy calculator. And so that's basically, there's a bunch of fields you can fill in what you have in your facility, and it should show you some consumption amounts. It's not 100% accurate, but it's a tool to just kind of see high level. You know, you make this change, that's going to be the dollar change kind of thing. I do have some handouts. I think Kush maybe handed them out. So that's just kind of a one-pager for information. The CEOP email is on there. If you want to participate, just email the email or email me, contact us, and we'll get you going. Oh, and that's all I had. Is there any questions? Yeah.
So for each property, we have to fill out anything for each property. How does your result work with that schedule as multiple buildings at one time?
Yeah, and we have run into this where it's like we want to have the owner of the building. You know, they're the ones who can make the decisions about changes in the building. But having said that, though, like if we have permission from that customer to work directly with you, we also do it that way as well. As long as we have it in writing, like, you know, this customer wants, you know, Joe to participate in this program on their behalf, and that's just an email, right? So as long as we can kind of settle that part of it, then we're fine with that too.
With the landlord agreements that are currently in place, with having property management already with that, is that enough for operating or further operating?
Sorry, I just missed what you said there, that last part.
Service agreement, like transfer agreement that is in place for us, the property management company, paying bills already on behalf of that owner. Authorization has already been given, and with the management agreement, kind of that gives us permission to do so. Is that enough for SaskPower, or do you need an email from the landlord themselves or the owner again for authorization?
I think we would probably want the email because it's a special type of case, right? So like we'd probably want to even have a conversation just saying like, you own the building, you have this property management company, you know, send me like making sure they understand what the program is. And yeah, they do, they're on board. Send me an email saying that and I'll check mark the box kind of thing. The other piece of that is, where is the money going to? Like if you say you do the coach service and you apply for that 30 grand, who is that? And if that's somebody in the property management company, then that might be treated differently. I think in any case, we would find a way to make that work because it makes sense, right? Like I think I said before, the spirit and intent of the program is being met in those cases. And so therefore we will try to kind of slot it in how it fits. We don't like breaking program rules, but when common sense kicks in and that spirit and intent piece kicks in, then we'll try and be as flexible as we can.
And that's typically what property management companies are hired for, is finding items. And
Yeah.
That's why they hired us. So I guess if there is a standard form or something that works, because getting an owner to say, hey, can you have phone call conversations with somebody, just letting them know that
Yeah.
yes, you are.
And the grumpy landlord is like, no, I don't want to do that. Right. Yeah, even in that case, I feel like then we would accept an email. Yeah.
And I understand with the coaching side of things that is a very something to really think about, because like John's situation, she's owner manager, so that would work, but in a third party.
Yeah. 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 Well, and then the question is too, like who's paying for the changes and where does that incentive go then? And so that's the most important piece there. Yeah. For the most part, if it's actual implementation, they're not going to do that work. So they'll do all of the consulting stuff, right? And they'll come out and they'll do the audit, they'll do the audit report, and they may go beyond that as well. But if you're, say, installing motors or you're doing your lighting or something like that, then you'll have to hire your own vendor for that. And then that would be part of your project costs, which then you'd get, like if you're doing the custom incentives, you'd get that contractor to fill out the paperwork or whatever. And then when they submit it, that would just be part of your project costs that you'd get up to 50% towards. So their invoice would be part of it. Sorry, I can't hear you. Sorry.
So for any savings or rebates you get back from savings that you've accumulated, you measure the results if it's over $75,000?
Yeah, and so what I meant by that is there'll be like an engineering calculation measurement. So it's basically a desktop exercise where we have like our engineer would look at those savings calculations, verify that they make sense, that they're kind of on board with industry standard, all that kind of those things. If your actual incentive that we're giving you is over 75,000, then we actually want measurement data. So hook up a meter, look at your SaskPower metering data if that's applicable, somehow, but they'll come up with a plan on how are you going to measure that. Yeah. Does that answer your question? Like, make sense? Yeah. I mean, it's not really cost effective. Like, so say I have like a lighting project and I'm getting $10,000 from SaskPower towards this lighting project. It's not cost effective for you to go and hook up a bunch of meters and measure this lighting, or like even with things like motors and compressed air, unless it's big consumption, the margin of error in that is not going to be large enough to be concerned about. So then therefore we've just like, no, we'll just really, the post approval on that is really checking to see, did you install what you said you were going to install? Yes, you did. Okay, check mark. The engineering calculation should still be relevant, and SaskPower pays out your incentive.
Two questions. One, does it matter which contractor does the work as far as like
No. No, doesn't matter. I know if it's if it's gas savings projects, Sask Energy has a prescriptive list of measures where they have their network members. With them, you have to go with that one, like someone on their list. But for this program, you don't. Yeah.
Second question. Some of the funding is with potentially potential that the funding way program
Good question. Good question. It is a good question. Like, so we have this funding because we have a contract for this funding. We have it until March 31st of 2027. So come December of 2026, we're going to start ramping down the program. So you're not going to be able to sign up for a coach service in December of 2026. But we'll get as much through as we can. Beyond that, no idea. No inkling of any clue on that one. Yeah, I think that's everyone's question. Yeah. What's that? Yeah. I was hoping Noda was going to ask me about tariffs, policy tariffs, and yeah, no, nothing about that. I don't think anybody knows much about that right now. Yeah.
Is there a cap rate that you guys have for funding? Like if everybody joins in on this and it's going, is there potentially a cutoff prior to that date with a capped amount?
It's a difficult question. We obviously have a budget cap from NRCan and from SaskPower. But the budget is enough. Like, if I could just put it that way. I can't, like, I've been doing programs for about 15 years at SaskPower and in different residential, industrial, all this. Based on my experience, like, I cannot see us running out of money for this program. If that was a scenario, I think like we would solution that to not put any caps on, because again, like we have, everything is in place. We have contracts with NRCan till 2027. If we hit that limit, I'm pretty sure we could manage to like not turn anyone away and kind of just deal with it internally or something like that. So far we have about, so we've been launched in the market since April of 2024. Of course, we can't do anything when there's an election on. So that was kind of a write-off last year. But we have basically about 100 customers in the ESS, like that support service. We have about 50 customers on the coach service right now. And then we've only had a handful of applications for the custom incentives. So, and then based on that as well, I'm like, the more the merrier. Come on, you guys, there's free money on the table. There's free consulting, like free everything. Come on, like participate. It's a good deal. Yeah.
The start part is the consulting, and from the consulting and the report that you get, then you have to kind of right?
Yeah, but you don't have to. You don't have to go through with all, like if you're just somebody who's like, I don't want all this consulting, I just want money for my lighting, or I just want lighting for this compressed air. You can go straight to the customer service. It's the same process. Email the email, say, I want to participate in this, I want an incentive, and then Clear Result will contact you and kind of walk you through what you need to do next. Yeah. We try and make it very, very simple for customers. Like, just call the number and they'll tell you what to do. And so my direction to Clear Result is, yeah, like handhold customers, do things for them if you can, accommodate where possible. Yeah.
By phone or email them and say, I'm interested in energy coach service. Talk to them, like, actually, that's something that they'll be able to guide you. Would you go that way, or?
Yep. Yeah. And like I said, like there is, like we say there's 5, like you have to have 5 gigawatt hours. But again, that's an imaginary line. Like it just kind of speaks to, like, if you're a small mom and pop shop, you're not going to benefit from the coach service. You know, if you're a really large customer, you're definitely going to benefit from that coach service. But yeah, Clear Result will say, you know, maybe you should try coaching, or maybe coaching's not good for you because you're not big enough, or maybe, oh, you can do this support service, but in the meantime, why don't you apply for a custom incentive on this one project that you're just about to do, kind of thing. Yeah. So they'll kind of guide you through and help you kind of squeeze what you can out of the program.
So if you're doing a project right now, we haven't started with go to the custom incentive, and then in a year, that do another project. Fire.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you can apply for several projects in a year. In my experience, like I used to run the industrial program, and what I'd say to customers all the time is like, yeah, get your applications in. Like you can have multiple per year, but they don't have the capacity to do multiple projects a year. So that's more of a limiter than say the program rules. Yeah. Like how many projects can you get in a year?
Reference lighting, but what if someone is replacing water lines in their building that cheese power lighting, or is it saving energy?
So if I think I'm understanding your question, if we had a customer come for a custom incentive and they wanted to do like say replace motors, then yeah, you'd sign an incentive agreement for that motors with all the information. But if they wanted to say they had motors, compressed air, lighting, and something, and refrigeration, and all of the savings made sense to do as one big project, then let's have one incentive agreement for those. But you know what? Maybe that puts you over the threshold, or maybe it doesn't make sense, or maybe they have all different timelines. Maybe we'll do separate incentive agreements for each one of those measures. So again, really flexible. It could be one big project, or you can chunk them up, just depending. And again, ClearResult will kind of help sift through what the best way is. Is that answering what you're? Yeah.
How long does the
For the custom incentives, as long as you have all the information and you submit it, like it usually takes ClearResult, say, a week to review and submit to SaskPower, and then it takes SaskPower less than a week to either approve, disapprove, or pay or whatever. And from what I hear from ClearResult, who works with utilities across North America, they say SaskPower is so fast at processing incentives. And I'm like, really? We took 2 whole weeks to pay this out, but apparently in other regions it takes months. So that was, yeah. No, we pay out once the project's finished and paid for by the customer, and then we reimburse because we need all of the, because it's up to 50% of your project cost. So there may be other things in there outside of equipment cost, right? Like there might be, say, a scaffolding cost, or I don't know what other costs might be in there. Yeah, does that answer it?
And is it actual payment by check, or is it a credit on the?
It is not a credit. We won't do a credit. We can either do EFT, like electronic transfer, or I can mail you a check. Yeah, those are the two options.
They want cash back, not necessarily credit.
Yeah. No, we won't do on-bill credits. I've been told no on that one.
Program work for
No new builds. Yeah, no new construction, unfortunately.
all customers, or is it privately owned buildings, or would it be open to
So
builds?
yeah. So you have to be a commercial customer. And it's really hard to define what that is. So what I like to do is say who's not eligible. And so like our description of industrial would not be eligible, which is primarily manufacturing, processing, or extraction of raw materials. So if you fall in those categories, you do not qualify, but everybody else does. So that includes government buildings, schools, hospitals, restaurants, retail, grocery, churches, nonprofits, municipal buildings, band-owned buildings. It's quite the spread. Yeah. Mhm. Yeah,
So how does that work, sorry? One question.
it's okay.
How does that work for, say, a strip mall or a multi-building where they pay, tenant pays for their own utilities, but technically the landlord's still responsible? You have to get, is it the tenant that has to apply, or is it the landlord?
In that situation, I think it's the actual mall owner that would have to do it. Because like I don't know, like would that be a thing where if I'm renting a retail space in a mall that I can make changes?
So in in most mall, like, and in a strip mall scenario, the tenants don't pay, they're paying that electricity bill. So
Right.
so if they're paying the bill, like the landlord's on the hook if the tenant doesn't pay it, but the tenant is responsible. Yeah, the tenant, I guess, in the strip mall scenario, provide them the information that, hey, if you want to reduce your power bill, you can apply for this incentive. Now they're much smaller, so whether or not they would qualify.
Yeah.
But that's
Yeah.
a lot of the times, as much as the landlord would like to be energy efficient, the tenants, if the incentive's not there for the tenant, they're not.
Then they're not going to. Yeah. Well, and I'd say like it's similar to what I've said before, where it's like, okay, let's look at the scenario, who owns what, who's doing the activities, and kind of who do we need to talk to make this like right with everybody. And then hopefully you could come to an agreement with the owner on kind of what the deal is there, I guess. Yeah.
I guess that plays into too with the report. If individual tenants are on the hook, they're technically the customer with SaskPower, will they still do an energy audit on the entire building for the owner?
Right. Good question. Yeah. Good question. I don't know. Well, because in that case, it's like, yeah, you could just do the space, but it's part of a larger building. So you'd probably want to look at the whole building, but then if you're not the owner, yeah, I'm not really sure how that one would play out. Yeah.
But if all of those meters are individual meters for each of those spaces, the landlord will only have a landlord transfer. Is that
Right.
sufficient enough to say, okay, this project will qualify as donors doing the work on that?
Right.
Sorry, sorry, question.
Can you email that one to me? Well, and we get all sorts of confusing situations, and we've already run into a couple of them, like say like a scenario where you have a different owner in the building and this and that. And again, like we don't want to turn anybody away. If we have customers that actually want to do energy efficiency, we're like, let me help you in any way that I can, kind of thing. So I mean, no guarantees that would go smoothly, but we would try. We would definitely try to kind of make it work and accommodate where we could. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Well, and and a lot of things, like even for speaking engagements like this, like we do just send ClearResult because they are mostly running the program. I'm really the oversight role where they just check in with like Kush and I. We have regular meetings, they update us, they ask for direction, and then we move on, right? So this is something that we would talk with them about and say, okay, how can we do this? How can we make this work? And we'll just talk it through and see what makes sense. I'm really big on that whole like spirit and intent of the program. Like really what we're trying to do is get commercial businesses to reduce their consumption, right? Reduce their consumption on the grid, save on operating costs. SaskPower gets a reduction from demand on the grid, which we want. So it's win-win, especially if we're getting federal money for it. It's a great deal for everyone. So it's just,
That's where the reporting is important, because we gotta, without the reporting, landlords don't wanna necessarily spend the money.
Yeah.
To benefit, they're getting their money back to operating costs. So
yeah,
tenants are essentially paying for those costs.
yeah,
If we can get the report first, and say, okay, you're here and get this right money back,
yeah,
we can sell that
yeah.
a little bit more. And
It could be a scenario too where like the clear result person goes out, does the walkthrough, produces the report and presents it back to them, and there's low and no cost measures. You know, like that was a thing actually. So we had them come in and do an audit on one of the SaskPower buildings. And I talked to the facilities manager after when he's reading the report, and he himself says the low no cost measures in the report were really impressive. And he said one of the things was, you know, when guys go to the shop, especially in the summer, they open the big door and then they work. Well, if you close the door, then the heating system doesn't have to try and keep up. Like it's just something so simple. But he's like, oh, we never even thought about it. Like, you work at SaskPower, how could you not have thought about that? But you know, it is these things. So even in a mall situation, like there might be, you know, Clear Result produces that report and it has like close the window, you know, do this or that, or you know, set back your temperature by a degree, or you know, something else. Any other questions? I am available. My email is not on that one pager, but it's easy. You can ask Carissa for it if you can't remember. My last name is Munro. But yeah, like feel free to email me directly or email the Clear Result email to start participating. If you have any questions, I'm available. If you have any speaking arrangements, I'm available. Yeah, that's what I got. Hey.
thank you.
Oh.
These incentives are great to learn about, and money on the table and spreading the knowledge is huge. Before we wrap up, we're gonna, Pinchin has provided a door prize for us today, so I hope everybody's put their business card in. Are there anyone who didn't put their card in? Brad, come on up. This is what the business cards we receive go towards. I also want to remind everyone to stay engaged with BOMA Saskatchewan and check the website for upcoming events, education opportunities, and referring new members. If you have any questions or want to get more involved, don't hesitate to reach out. Okay, all right, thanks, Brad. Anyone else? No, okay. All right, Joanne. Okay. Ooh, I gotta get here. Oh dear, Brad. All right, well, congratulations, Brad. We got a nice gift card, and thank you, Pinchin. Thanks for coming out today. It was really cold and awful, and the cold is going nowhere. But anyway, thanks again. All right, there you go. Congratulations.
I was gonna say something.